Well, welcome to Beans, Brews and Bread. I've got a bit of a instructional video today. You know, we got these Victorian barn cloches and we put them over the sort of salad crops to start them early. I thought I'd try, having read up on it a little bit, there's a few other crops you can get in early, which you would normally wait until your last frosts had gone. So that's things like some French beans, some tomatoes. So I'll try and push the envelope a little bit, see if we could use the raised bed with one of the barn cloches. So let's go and have a look. So the great thing about these barn cloches is that if you get them down on the ground early, you can get the ground nicely warmed up, and they're basically like a little mini greenhouse. You can have them obviously connected together in a long row. You can also set them up as individual ones with a bit of an end to them, so that they kind of like create a little mini greenhouse. Now, I was thinking of trying to get in some melons here, but I think it's still a bit early for melons as yet. It's not really a hotbed, or it's more of a cold frame with a little mini greenhouse or cloche on the top of it. So I thought tomatoes, maybe a few dwarf French beans as well. I've had a look, and this was the kind of thing that they would have used in really long rows in sort of the Victorian kitchen gardens to try and force early warm weather crops that you would ordinarily be able to get in like a heated greenhouse. So obviously we're getting close to our last frost date anyway. I want to try and see if we can bring these on and give them a really super start. So we've got one of the barn cloche set up, so I'm just going to take it off. Obviously I've got the idea where the spaces that I'm going to fill. So I've got some French beans, dwarf varieties, and one sort of bush cherry tomato, so which I'll stick in the middle as a bit of a focal point. So we'll try that to start with, and then after that, I think what we'll do with this is we'll get it, once we've got some decent crops off them, if we're lucky, try and get some melon in here, or maybe some courgettes, so fingers crossed. But for today, we'll get the dwarf French beans in and a bush tomato variety. So we'll take the cloche off. And we'll get it planted in. So the middle of the area was here, so we'll go for the tomato. This is a red robin, said to be only about 30 centimetres height, so easily within the height of the barn cloche. So we'll get that in, and we'll also get these French beans in as well. Dwarf variety, we've got a couple there. We've got tender green, only a couple of those, and apparently too good to pick, no idea what that one is, and then just a generic variety which we've picked up. So we'll get them in now. So filled this with some nice compost the other day, some homemade compost. We'll get the tomato in. It's said to be a bush variety, so hopefully we won't need much staking. I might be able to, because right in the middle, obviously the little hole in the cloche at the top of the peak of the barn, of the roof, so we can maybe get a little thin stick put in, and we can get those in there. So other than that, we've got some tender green, which I'll put on this side. Too good to pick, one either side, and then we'll do the generic one on the back. So might dig a little trench. I know what tool this is calls for, the trusty homie. So get a row dug out there, put the homegrown tender green in. I think that's the great thing about these biodegradable pots. You can obviously just pop them in and let the roots dissolve the pot. You can see they've gone through the root there. I will have to remember to put some slug barrier down for these, unfortunately. So we've got the tomato in, we've got the dwarf French beans in, and put the cloche back on, and they should be good to go. won't be able to see that line getting taken drawn out there, but so we'll give it a water, get some slug protection down, and then we'll get the barn cloche back on top. So giving that a good water, get the barn cloche back on top, get the ends up, and a bit of slug protection as well, because they do love a nice tender green bean. Get the barn cloche back on. So, jobs are good. And obviously, keep an eye on them, keep them watered. Just gives them enough ventilation, but also should, in theory, give them plenty of protection to keep them going. It's a little bit early, really, to put in French beans out. So, if I can get maybe a week, 2 weeks, March, and give them a bit of a boost, then that's a good idea for me, anyway. So, if you've got any questions or comments, or have you got any cloche ideas of your own? Do you use any windows or cloches? Bell jars, anything like that, then comment below and give us some ideas. But see you next time. Bye.